Okay. Pursuant to Governor Baker's March 12th, 2020 order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law, GL Chapter 30A, Section 18, and the Governor's June 16th, 2021 revised order extending remote participation by all members in any meeting of a public body. This meeting, the Great Barrington Select Board, will be conducted via remote participation to the greatest extent possible. Specific information and general guidelines for remote participation by members of the public and our parties with a right and a requirement to attend this meeting can be found on the town's website. No in-person attendance of members of the public will be permitted, but every effort will be made to ensure the public can adequately access the proceedings in real time via technological means. Pursuant to MGL 7C 30A, Section 20F, after notifying the chair of a public body, any person may make a video or audio recording of an open session of a meeting of a public body or may transmit the meeting through any medium. At the beginning of the meeting, the chair shall inform other attendees of any such recordings. This meeting is being recorded by the towns, by CTSB, by the Berkshire Edge, by the Berkshire Eagle, and other members of the public. Any member of the public wishing to speak at the meeting must receive permission of the chair. The listing of agenda items are those reasonably anticipated by the chair, which may be discussed at the meeting. Not all items listed may in fact be discussed, and other items not listed may be brought up for discussion to the extent permitted by law. We're going to skip over the minutes tonight, and we'll go right to Select Board's announcements and statements. And I guess we'll start with Eric.
I have nothing at this time. Thanks, Steve.
Ed.
Yeah, quick thing. At the last planning board meeting last week, Pedro Pachano, who's the chair of the Joint Housing Committee, said he's been unable to get a meeting together. So I'd like an update, I guess.
So the update I can give you one is,
okay.
Brandy sent me an email today. I haven't responded to it, asking to disband that subcommittee.
Really?
So I haven't responded because I haven't talked to the two members of the select board on it. So I'll fill you in when I know more.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
That's new to me. I've been waiting for the next meeting. So,
Lee, anything?
yeah, actually, I wanted to say a big shout out to a new tenant that's coming into the Barrington House atrium, Mama Lowe's Barbecue. They're a Black-owned business, and they've been operating on basically really the side of the road in Crayerville, New York. And they're just getting set up in the old steam noodle location in the Barrington House atrium. And they hope to open March 4th. But I just think that this is such a wonderful opening and a wonderful opportunity for Black-owned businesses to come into Great Barrington. And I'm really, really excited. They do wonderful Southern style barbecue. So pulled pork and jerk chicken and mac and cheese. And so I just hope everyone welcomes them. I know that they're going to be interviewed tomorrow on WSBS, and just looking forward to welcome them. So thanks.
Thanks, Lee. I have nothing. Town manager's report.
Okay, thanks, Steve. Just so you know, I do not see Garfield in the participant pool yet either. So
okay,
keep an eye out for him. So first on my list for this evening is Housatonic Waterworks, and I don't have anything new to report this evening. We're still waiting the official notice of non-compliance from DEP. Once we have that order, of course, we'll post it to our Housatonic Waterworks info tab on the select board page of our website.
Ed, did you want to talk about a meeting you had today?
It was some Housatonic residents meeting with Channel 13 just to talk about the problems they've been having. I think it's being aired tonight. And really to air that and to try and get more attention and more help.
Great. Thank you. Go ahead, Mark.
Okay, thanks. And then I have one last item for this evening, and that's Bill Ingram's retirement. And Bill Ingram, many of you know, is our longtime Assistant Public Works Superintendent and Wastewater Treatment Plant Operator. He's retiring after 37 years of service to the town, and I just wanted to take this opportunity tonight to both thank him for his many years of service and also wish him all the best in his retirement. He'll be leaving the town at the end of March. So if you see him in passing, please congratulate him and thank him. And that's all I have.
Thank you very much. We're going to just move one thing up tonight. And can you promote Chris? I just tried and it didn't work. We're going to move 8A up because the applicants have another meeting at 7 o'clock tonight. So I told them that we would move them up. It's a recommendation to the planning board on the application from Shea Ulster Israel Team LLC, 21 South End Ave, New York, New York, for a special permit to create a rear lot in an R2 zone at 183 Division Street, Great Barrington, in accordance with sections 4.3 and 10.4 of the zoning bylaw. So, Chris, do you want to? Hi.
Yeah. Hi, everybody. Chris Rembold speaking. Heather Brown from Foresight Land Services here is here for the applicant team, and maybe you could promote her up to panelist level.
Just did. Just takes a minute.
Okay.
All right. And Heather, when you're in, let us know if there's anybody else on your team who should be promoted.
Hi, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
All right, I'm going to see if I can get my camera to work on my phone. I can't get it to work on my computer.
Yep.
All right, perfect. As far as I know, there's nobody else that's going to be able to attend the select board meeting just because they're actually traveling. So it looks like it's me tonight.
Okay, thanks, Heather.
You're welcome.
Steve, whenever you're ready.
Yeah. Let's make a motion to open. This is not a public hearing. It's a recommendation. Chris, I'm all set.
Right. Well, maybe Heather can just give an explanation of what they're proposing.
All right, not a problem. We are actually proposing a rear lot, which I sent the PDF along. I don't know if you guys have access to that. Unfortunately, I can't get my computer to work at the moment to share the screen. Does anybody have access to that PDF?
The board has seen it in their packet.
Yes.
All right, excellent. To meet the requirements of the rear lot, the area in the back is at 286%, which the requirement is 150. The building setback line for where they propose to have an area to build and a septic to build is actually 311 feet. And the requirement is the frontage, which is 150. The closest point of access coming up the driveway area is 45 feet and the minimum is 40. So we meet and exceed that. The ownership right now, as you can read in the application, is Real Team LLC. Both lots are still in the same ownership and will remain. The frontage meets and exceeds all the requirements within the zone for both parcels, being lot 1 and lot 2. Let's see, and you can actually see the common drive that's shown on the plan. Is there any questions that the select board might have for me regarding this rear lot?
Anyone have any questions? I'm not seeing any.
Mm-mm.
Then I have a request that the special permit be granted and I can move forward to the planning board.
You recommended.
Yes.
Thank you.
Do I have a motion?
Can I ask first,
Yes.
Steve, or we
Of
can do
course.
it after the motion?
No.
I know it's not a public hearing, but can we ask if there's anyone out there who has an opinion? Or
Yes.
should-
Yeah, I can do that.
Okay.
If anyone has an opinion, raise your hand. Who's prefer a butter or someone who lives in the neighborhood, but I'll take anyone.
Whoops.
I'm not seeing anyone, Ed.
Other than my dog, nobody objects. Great. That's
Right.
what I
My dog's at home.
Do I have a motion?
I make a motion to recommend to the planning board the application from Shea Allister Israel Team LLC for a special permit to create a rear lot in R2 zone at 183 Division Street in Great Barrington in accordance with section 4.3 and 10.4 of the zoning bylaw.
Second.
Any discussion?
I guess I do. I got just a couple questions.
Yeah, go ahead.
One, so the shared driveway in both properties have septic, so there's no public utilities or anything the town's going to be responsible for after this?
Correct.
Correct.
Yep, the rear lot was perked and is all, they're working on the design for a septic system.
Great. That's all. That's the only question I have.
Okay.
Oh.
Thank you, Eric. Anyone else? So I have a motion and I have a second. So it's a roll call vote. Eric,
Aye.
Ed,
Aye.
Lee,
Aye.
and I. It's unanimous, and our recommendation will go to the planning board.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
You
Thank
too.
you.
Okay, next is under licenses and permits, Timothy and Janet Lee for a driveway permit at 10 Pouthel Drive. Usually we just make them, do I have a motion?
I make a motion to grant the license to Timothy and Janet Lee for a driveway permit at 10 Pouthel Drive.
Second.
Any questions?
Permit, I guess.
No? Roll call vote. Eric,
Aye.
Ed,
Aye.
Lee,
Aye.
and I. It's unanimous. Barbara and Robert Watkins for a driveway permit at 38 Caliste Hill. Do I have a motion?
I make a motion to grant a permit to Barbara and Robert Watkins for a driveway permit at 38 Callista Hill, Great Barrington.
Second.
Okay. And I. Barbara Watkins, or
Yes.
do you have anything you want to add?
No, just thank you very much.
Okay, well, we haven't done it yet, but we will.
Oh, I'll thank you later then.
Yes. Do we have any questions of the applicant? Seeing none. We had a motion and a second. So it's a roll call vote. Eric,
Aye.
Ed,
Aye.
Lee,
Aye.
and I. It's unanimous. Now you can thank us.
Thank you very much. I hope you all have a very nice evening.
You too. Thank you.
Thanks.
Kevin Schmitz of the Marketplace Specialty Food Shop for an annual common victualler at 265 Stockbridge Road. Do I have a motion?
I make a motion to grant Kevin Schmitz of the Marketplace Specialty Food Shop for an annual common victualler at 265 Stockbridge Road.
Do I have a second?
Second. Sorry.
Any questions? Seeing none, roll call. Eric,
Aye.
Ed,
Aye.
Lee,
Aye.
and I. It's unanimous. Now we start with public hearings. Jeffrey Neal, manager for a new all-alcoholic liquor license for Grupo Olmus LLC, DBA The Elm, Railroad Street, 20 Railroad Street. Do I have a motion to open the public hearing?
I make a motion to open the public hearing for the all alcoholic license for Grupo Olmus LLC.
Second.
Roll call. Eric,
Aye.
Ed,
Aye.
Lee,
Aye.
and I. Is the applicant, do you have a presentation?
Steve, there's a hand up from an attorney. I don't know if it's their attorney. There he is.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hello, this is Matt Mosian here. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Great. I don't have a picture. Am I supposed to have a picture?
No, that's fine.
Okay, great. Thank you. I appreciate the board hearing us. I represent Grupo Olmus, and its principals are Jeffrey Neal and Adrian Guatama. Mr. Neal and Mr. Guatama are co-owners of Grupo Olmus, and they're here tonight seeking a restaurant liquor license for 20 Railroad Street. They want to open up a restaurant called The Elm at this location, which, as we all know, has been a restaurant bar for many years. Mr. Neal has lived full-time since 2017 in Sheffield. The application is for him to be the manager of the license. Mr. Neal has over 20 years experience in the management and owner of businesses, large and small. Mr. Gautama, his partner, has 20 years of experience working in New York City restaurants. Their goal for the space is to open up a casual fine dining restaurant and bar with a focus on local ingredients. What's key, they're not planning any extensive renovations. They want to use the existing space, which has served the community well for years. They've reached a deal with Jeff Caminiti, the previous owner, to purchase the assets of the former restaurant that's located at the space. And they've also reached a deal with the owner of the building, Josh Cohen, on a new 5-year lease. Both of those documents are attached to the application. Mr. Neal is signed on. If the board would like to hear, he'd be happy to tell you about his plans for the restaurant.
Sure, absolutely.
There we go. Good evening, everybody. My name is Jeff Neal. And as Matt stated earlier, I live in Sheffield, along with Adrian Misakango Gautama. As Matt said, we're definitely looking forward. We love the space, obviously recognize its iconic nature in the community. We've certainly heard a lot of, where word has got out. We've certainly heard a lot of encouraging comments from the community about opening that up again. So we're happy about that. I think to summarize what we're trying to put together there, we've worked to assemble a very strong team of people who are veterans in the industry, including Adrian himself, who has managed 2 very successful bars in New York. One called Tessa in the Upper West Side, and another Michelin-starred restaurant called Oriole, which was until the pandemic in Midtown Manhattan. Look, we're looking to have a very open, welcoming space, something that is casual, yet really brings in some high standards of service and cooking, as well as an extensive craft cocktail list and a deep wine list as well. We're excited about the space itself. We think it's well located. We're very excited about working in collaboration with Billy at Mooncloud, with other restaurants in the space, and working to put work toward with the others to put Great Barrington on the culinary map for Western Massachusetts.
Thank you very much. Do I have a motion?
I make a motion to grant a new all alcoholic liquor license for Grupo Alumnus LLC, doing business as the Elm Railroad Street, 20 Railroad Street.
Second.
Do I have any questions?
I just had one question. Just thinking about staffing and some of the issues that some local businesses have found with finding staff. Have you begun that process of looking for staff, or are you coming with staff already? Or I'm curious about how that's gonna pan out.
Look, that's a really good question, because I agree, everybody's having the same issue. We're fortunate in that some of the key members of the staff are already engaged with the business. So the chef and general manager, I think we've got that covered. We've also reached out to some people just known to us in the community here, between Sheffield and Great Barrington, about joining the business, and received a pretty favorable response. So I think we've got some wait staff, some kitchen staff, but to be frank, we're early in the process, and very conscious of the challenges of bringing in new people now, especially in Great Barrington. Frankly, it's it's a hard place to find. It's a hard place to find very junior staff, just because they frankly have a problem affording to live in the area, and need to commute from quite some distance. So we're aware of it. Thank you.
Before we take that motion, we need to close the public hearing, and I need to get public comment. Sorry. So is there any public comment? Seeing none, is a motion to close the public hearing. Oh, there is a hand up. Excuse me. Go ahead, James Manning.
Hi, it's Jim Manning,
Address, please.
304 Main Street.
Yes.
Yeah, I just 20, it was sad to see go, but what is 20 going to be more value price like the Well, or more on the high end of like Prairie Whale?
Sorry, I'll answer that. It won't be on the same level as the Well. It's a little more. It'll be a little pricier than that. That said, it's an a la carte menu, so people will be able to pick and choose from it, and we intend to have a bar snack menu as well.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Seeing no one, a motion to close the public hearing?
I make a motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
Roll call. Eric?
Aye.
Ed?
Aye.
Lee?
Aye.
And I. And now, more appropriate, I'm sorry, a motion.
I make a motion to grant a new all alcoholic liquor license for Grupo Olomas LLC, doing business as the Elm on Railroad Street, on 20 Railroad Street, excuse me.
Second.
Roll call vote. Eric?
Aye.
Ed?
Aye.
Lee?
Aye.
And I. It's unanimous. Good luck.
Thank you all very much. Good night.
Thank you.
Kevin Schmitz, manager for a new wine and malt package store license for Great Barrington Marketplace, Inc., DBA Marketplace Specialty Food Shop at 265 Stockbridge Road, Great Barrington. Motion to open public hearing.
I make a motion to open the public hearing for a new wine and malt packer store licenses for the Great Barrington Marketplace.
Second.
Roll call. Eric?
Aye.
Ed?
Aye.
Lee?
Aye.
And I. Do we have a explanation of the project?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. So since our move to the new location, we will be doing a lot of the things that we did when we were located in Guido's. So we will be selling cheese, we will be selling prepared foods, which we make in our kitchen in Sheffield, both pastries and entrees. And we really thought, because we're going to expand a little bit more than we have in Guido's, you couldn't pick up things hot to go. So we're going to be doing that. It's all off premise, but we want to have things ready to go for people to come in around dinner time and take them. So it's really an enhancement. You know, someone wants a bottle of wine or they want some craft beer. It's not the main focus, but it is something that adds to the shopping experience. And so we're going to keep it's not going to be a high-end wine shop or an extensive collection. It's something that goes along with the food that people are purchasing.
Thank you. Any public comment?
I had a question.
Yeah, just a second. Seeing no public comment, go ahead, Lee.
Thank you. Hi, Kevin. Just wondering, you have a beautiful porch, and I was just wondering if there's any plans of using that for people to eat at once the weather turns nicer.
Yeah, I think that's certainly something that we've thought about, but at this point we needed to, with everything going on, weather-wise and all, our main focus was getting the inside ready. So that would be another step down the road. We would have to apply for a permit for it, but it certainly lends itself. It's a beautiful wraparound porch, and it's such a great building, and I love going there, and it was lock, stock, and barrel, and so for us it was exciting, and it was really the perfect spot to open in. So that definitely is something down the road we'd like to do.
Great, thank you.
Any other questions?
I got a question, not necessarily just to the board itself. Just curious how many more malt and wine licenses there are for the town.
Mark?
We have 2 open wine and malt package store licenses now. If this is approved tonight, we'll have 1 left.
And then another one, and just out of curiosity, on section 7, occupancy of premises, on the bottom, I don't know, I'm just curious. It says, will landlord receive revenue based on percentage of alcohol sales? And they're both checked, yes and no. I'm just curious, why that's on there. And
well, the answer is no. I'm not sure if that was a mistake on the check. I don't have it in front of me when I submitted it, but no, the rent is what the rent is. It has no reflection on any revenue.
Those are the only questions I had. Thank you.
You're welcome. Anyone else? Motion to close the public hearing?
Make a motion to close the public hearing.
Do I have a second? And I have a second. A roll call vote. Eric?
Aye.
Ed?
Aye.
Lee?
Aye.
And aye. It's unanimous. Good luck.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Okay, the next is hopefully going to be rather simple. The annual town meeting calendar.
Steve, do we need to vote on that? We closed the public hearing. I just don't know if we did.
We voted on it, didn't we?
Oh, we did? Okay.
I'm gotta ask. I thought we did.
I don't know. We probably did.
Yeah, I thought we did.
Okay, thank you.
No one's raising their hand saying we don't know what we're doing, so we must. The annual town meeting calendar, it's time for us to decide whether we want the town meeting in May or June. And quite simply, the difference is you have it in May, you have, weather concerns if it has to be outdoors. If you have it in June, you still have weather concerns, but it should be warmer. And we have our town moderator with us, Michael Wise, and we have the town clerk, Jen Messina, and I'd love to hear from both of you first with any thoughts. You're muted, Michael.
I have no particular thoughts. Later is after the town election, which can be complicating if the new folks on the finance committee have never seen the budget. On the other hand, the weather is better in case we can't do it indoors. I have a slight preference for doing it in May simply to get back in the usual schedule, but there's no fundamental principled reason for that.
Thank you. Jen?
I'd like to have it indoors as well, only because it's a lot less work for me. It's very hard doing an outdoor town meeting, especially when it comes to the voting, the yes and the no. It makes it very difficult. It's a very difficult, it's, a difficult process to begin with, and then, throwing extra things in there. But ultimately, it's up to you guys as a board.
And our decision tonight, let me be clear, unless someone contradicts me, is not whether we're going to have it indoors or outdoors. It's whether we're going to have it in May or June. Luckily, the address is the same. So even when we post it, it's still going to be at that same address, so we have some time. So, I have my opinion, but board, do you have any questions of either Jen or Michael or Mark, or do I have a motion?
It seems like the longer we wait, the more likely it is we can do it indoors.
And outdoors.
Or outdoors.
Yeah.
But that said, nobody has guessed anything yet, right, about COVID, so who knows?
Yeah.
I guess I was curious if like the Board of Health or anything had an opinion on it. Any sort of recommendation for it.
I did not run this by the Board of Health. We did clear it with the school district and Sam Sorrentino of Cutting Edge AV.
The school district would be all right with the town being in the auditorium in May?
Yes.
Yeah.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Steve. The school's been having some events in the auditorium recently with no like restrictions or anything. Is that correct?
Masks.
Right, but like not like, anything else, but they've been having events in the auditorium.
There's been events in the school. The difference is that, as Ed said, it's totally unpredictable. We could have another wave in April, in the end of April, and the school district may have to change, their mind at that point. So that's my only concern, is we really don't know what's going to happen with COVID. It seems to be a little better right now, but it could be another variant. So, I mean, there's no right answer here. We'll know the right answer after the town meeting if we pick the right time, May or June.
I mean, I definitely think Ed's right in saying that, if you went with June, it could be indoors, outdoors, it's probably a little safer of a bet. And especially if you had to have it outside, it's warmer in June, the beginning of June than the beginning of May.
Yeah, and I agree with that. I think for a caution, which is for us, we should just pick June. Michael's right. It's a little complicated for people who are newly elected. It's not ideal, but nothing with COVID has been ideal so far. So why should this be any different? So do I have a motion?
So am I making a motion for June or
whatever you would like?
I guess I should have been paying attention more. I'd like to make a motion to have the annual town meeting in June.
Second.
Discussion. And just to be clear again, just for people, I guess we have 38 people right now on. This is not making a decision indoors or outdoors. It's making a decision just on the dates. And the dates in June would be June 6th with a second night if needed of June 9th. So it's just to be clear, we're not making the decision whether it's indoors or outdoors yet.
Steve, I just also want to add, because you guys before back in December had approved like the May election and everything.
Yes.
If you're going the route of June, I just want to make it noted that the last day to register to vote and the last day to post the warrant for the town election will change. So that's a little bit different than what you guys had discussed in December with the calendar that you looked at in December. So I just wanted to make you guys aware of that. So the last day to register to vote for the annual town election would be Wednesday, April 20th. And the last day to post the warrant would be Tuesday, May 3rd. Just as a slight change from the December schedule.
And just so everyone's clear, we're not changing the May 10th elections. Just so everyone's clear. I just want to make sure.
Yeah, the process has already started with all of that with nomination papers and
no,
we've already moved forward.
And I don't want to change it because that's indoors and that should be pretty simple. So we have a motion and a second to hold the town meeting in June. Let's have a roll call vote. Eric?
Aye.
Ed?
Aye.
Lee?
Aye.
And aye, it's unanimous. Michael, thank you. Jen, thank you.
Right.
Good seeing both of you.
Have a good night.
Thanks.
Okay. Okay, next is a continued discussion on the proposed short-term rental. Chris, do you want to guide us?
Sure. Good evening, everybody. You have in your packet the notes from, it's the January 31st version, plus the notes from your last discussion. Am I getting that messed up? Is it January 31st was your last discussion?
Yes.
Yes.
And you got to about page 2. Not sure if you just want to pick up there where you were discussing the possible cap on the number of nights or not.
Yeah, we might as well pick up where we left off.
I assume that, yeah, that'd be the way that you would approach it.
Yeah. There are 2 hands up, and if it's concerning this, we'll wait till citizen speak time. If it's a process or another question, I would be glad to take it. But the way we've done this, and there will be time for citizens to comment on our final draft, not final copy. So I'll just allow Bill Cook. Bill, did you have a question other than a comment on this?
I'm talking to Garfield. He's having trouble getting into the meeting.
We've been calling him and trying to get him in. I don't know what to do. He's not answering the phone. Could you have him call Mark, please?
Probably because he's on the phone with me, trying to figure out how to do it.
Yeah, have him call Mark, and that hopefully we'll get him in. That would be terrific. Thank you, Bill. I appreciate that.
Okay. Yeah, maybe just send him a new link.
Could we just pause a moment, or?
We can, but
And I guess while we're waiting, Chris, I was just wondering, with the purpose and intent, was that decided that we were going to say property owners rather than residents? I just want to confirm that. Going back to because that's still on the last draft that was still left as it was, but I just wanted to, starting from the very top, just to confirm what that was, or should we take a vote on that?
If I remember, the discussion was about whether or not you would let tenants to sublet their units as short-term rentals. I think you decided against that.
Okay, so it will be property owners. Okay, I just wanted to confirm that. Thank you.
And that began a discussion about defining owner.
Exactly. Okay, thanks.
Yeah.
Thank you. Are we still waiting for?
Yeah, we're
Garfield?
Yeah, I'd like to let Garfield in.
Okay.
Have you heard from him, Mark?
He sent me an email about 10 minutes ago, and I sent the link and call and information, but I haven't heard from him since. I tried calling his house twice and getting a machine.
My concern is this has been going on since 5 of 6 that he hasn't been able to get in. And there he comes. Good. I just don't want us to wait too long. Garfield, are you there?
I am here as.
Yeah, go ahead.
What do we mean in person again? Me and computers, we just don't, when you get a certain age, man, what happens?
You're not that age yet.
Oh, man.
Yeah, you can't use that excuse.
Yeah. No, we're just starting the short-term rental. We actually waited. Bill helped us, and we waited. So Chris, go right ahead.
Well,
yeah,
Steve,
I guess.
sorry.
Yeah, Chris, go ahead.
I just, what's your pleasure? I mean, if I share the screen to share the document, that means it's tough for you all to see each other. So would you rather see each other and talk about it from your packet or share the document on screen?
I prefer on screen so the people at home can at least know what we're talking about.
All right. Sorry, Lee.
And then we'll go ahead.
I'd like to make a motion, please.
Okay, just wait till he gets it on the screen.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so I was just going to start your discussion at this item 2 on page 2, which was, I think, about where you left off, discussing the total number of nights per year.
Lee, if you want to make a motion.
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion. Short-term rentals shall not be rented for more than a total of 90 nights per calendar year when the operator is not residing on the premises. So whether we have to say shall not exceed in the aggregate 90 consecutive or non-consecutive calendar days, I would ask to amend that so that's clear. So my motion is to vote that short-term rentals shall not exceed in the aggregate 90 consecutive or non-consecutive calendar days per year when the operator is not occupying the residential unit during the entire term of the short-term rental.
I'll second that.
Okay. We should have noted that Eric is recusing himself, so I just want to make that known. Discussion.
Yeah, why are we doing this? Which of the purposes is this? It's certainly not the first one about allowing owners to make money on their property, and has nothing to do with health and safety. It I suppose could stop commercial interest, but if that's really the goal of this particular thing, there are more targeted ways to stop commercial interests, like they did in Stockbridge, where they just said can't be a corporation, or we could limit it to corporations or individuals who own X number of units or less. That stops it from being a corporate thing. It seems like this is using it's overkill. It can have an awful lot of unintended consequences. We all got a letter from today from a veteran who, right after 6 deployments, has moved back here, can't afford to keep the house when he goes elsewhere without doing this, and can't rent it year round. So it just seems like that, we've heard from people who are trying to pay for college for their children. It seems like this arbitrary number of 90, and I know you studied San Francisco, but 90 days won't necessarily cover the mortgage and costs. We have no idea if it will, for people who are trying to make some money for whatever their reason is on their own homes. So I'm not sure. I think there are much better ways. I've just suggested 2 to deter commercial interests, which is the only possible goal this could be achieving.
Other discussion.
I don't think this is to stop people from making money, Ed, just limiting how it's done and having some structure to how it's done. We're not trying to take away the purpose of making money. That's not what it's about. It's just trying to repurpose it. It's trying to make maybe a level playing field, but we're not trying to stop people. We're just trying to have some parameters. Everything has guidelines. Our meetings have guidelines. Everything we do has guidelines. That's what we're talking about, or that's what I'm speaking about, what I'm getting, what I'm understanding.
I don't understand what level playing field means. We're absolutely absolutely trying to limit the amount of money they can make, right? I mean, that's the purpose of this, to make it. It was stated at the last meeting, by limiting the number of days, we make it not profitable to do this. That was stated. That's the purpose of this, which goes against our purpose. But again, I don't understand what you mean by level playing field.
Just trying to level the playing field.
I understand what level playing field means. I don't what it means in this case. What do you?
I'd just like to see something that would make it so some people can afford, more people can afford to stay in their home. So that's what I would call leveling the playing field.
To stay in there. I don't understand. This is that both boards have determined that this will not achieve that. Right, both the select board and the planning board have determined that this is not going to create housing. This is not going to make affordable housing.
I didn't say it was going to make housing. I said so it should stay in there. I didn't say anything about
But
affordable
how does it
housing.
help them stay in their house?
What do you mean housing makes them help them stay in their house?
How does limiting Airbnb to 90 days help someone stay in their home?
Well, then I misspoke in that part of it then. But I do still believe that it should be just a 90-day limit. And I don't think it's, if there was a gentleman, I can give you an example. There was a gentleman who spoke last meeting, was so concerned about the times and Butternut having their time being pinched sometimes with snow, etc. And this gentleman says, well, you know, it cuts the time. Well, as I said before, if you're so concerned, then you make your time then, and you can make your money then.
I guess my question though is, why are we cutting the time? What purpose does it serve to limit it to 90 days? You've mentioned leveling the playing field, which I still don't understand. You've mentioned letting people stay in their homes, which you then said is not what you mean. I don't understand what the 90-day limit is trying to achieve, other than to make it not profitable so that people don't make money, which goes against purpose one. I don't get it. I understand in San Francisco, there were numbers in the most expensive housing market in America that made 90 days seem like it makes sense, but I don't understand what that has to do with here and how limiting this to 90 days does anything that we're trying to accomplish here. Anyone?
Well, let me throw something back at you, Ed. I've seen you or heard you make a lot of things, say a lot of things, but you haven't come up with really any recommendations either, other than to point out all the flaws. So do you have any solutions with these things that you're speaking about?
Yes, two. One, both of which I just mentioned, but one in when we started this, which is the
solution,
which was the Stockbridge bylaw, which says that corporations can't do this, because that is our stated goal, corporate interests. And the second is, and this is just off the top of my head, and I certainly think it needs study, is limited to say people who own, 4 homes or more are not eligible to do Airbnb in Great Barrington. I don't know if that's enforceable. I don't know. Those are my two suggestions. If limiting corporate interests is what we're trying to do, let's limit corporate interests and not punish Great Barrington homeowners and micromanage what they can do with their homes.
Other discussion? It's a roll call vote. Garfield.
Aye.
Ed.
No.
Lee.
Aye.
And I. And I will say this. I think this at the town meeting is going to be discussed a lot and amended. So I don't have any problem. I want to get this to the town meeting. And I do believe, I'm not totally against the 90 days, but I do believe that there'll be a lot of discussion there for and against this. So Chris, move us along.
Okay. Sorry, just trying to capture that. The following several items we didn't get to yet. They look at addressing the number of rental parties at once, the total number of people, multiple dwellings. And I proposed here that there was a limitation before based on the number of people per bedroom. I just proposed making it a maximum of 10 in any one party on the premises at a time. So
yeah,
hopefully that addresses your concerns.
No, actually, I would like to speak to that, please.
Go ahead.
So I would like to discuss going back to how the previous draft had it, which was a residential unit offered as a short-term rental shall be limited to 2 persons per bedroom with a maximum of 10 persons. So what I am proposing is adding back in the 2 persons per bedroom for the reasons that I have been talking to realtors, some of those that don't want to be named, that have come across short-term rentals that are unsafe. And when you have a home and if you're limited, if you're allowed put 10 people in an apartment or a basement. If you open it up to just a generic number, then you are possibly creating health and safety hazards. And it's also harder for the town, should it be passed, to enforce this. So if we have it set to per bedroom, we can have a sense of how many people will be safely housed as a short-term renter. And this is something that has been utilized in other short-term rental ordinances. So it's not anything that I'm coming up with, but just for the health and safety, and that this is part of our purpose and intent, I would strongly recommend limiting to 2 persons per bedroom for a maximum of 10.
Okay.
See, my concern with that is that.
Can I just stop
go
there?
ahead.
Can we, I think we can all agree on item 3?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Item 4, persons per bedroom. Sorry, go ahead. Sorry,
Yeah,
Steve.
I have problems limiting it to 2 per bedroom because there's all different size rooms, and I think that is a little bit of micromanaging. That concerns me, and there's no way to enforce it anyways.
Well, it just gives us parameters, Steve. So obviously, if there's, let's say, 3 bedrooms and we're not going to come looking at people's beds and how it's set up in a room, but at least we can have a sense of, if it's a 1-bedroom apartment, they're not shoving 10 beds into it. You know what I'm saying? So we're giving him, again, kind of bumpers or guidelines, so that someone that doesn't come in with a 1-bedroom unit and say, oh, I can get 10 people there, because you will get that. You will get party houses. You will get people advertising as short-term rental saying, hey, I know this is a small place, but you can fit 10 of your buddies here, and there's 4 bunk beds. So I have heard directly from realtors that have strongly recommended this, that there is some guidelines, because people will push it. If they think they can get 10 people in a small space, they will. And I do know that there's occupancy regulations and guidelines with zoning. And I just strongly feel, especially from talking to realtors that have seen horror stories with short-term operators putting as many occupants in a rental to do this. So it's just, we're not going to be micromanaging in terms of looking in people's windows and seeing how it's set up, but it will give us a sense of how many people are actually in a short-term rental.
I also think it's a safety issue.
And it's a safety, and this is our purpose and intent. That's the main thing, is purpose and intent is health and safety. And if we don't have any kind of guidelines, we're opening ourselves up to things happening. And again, we're not going to be looking in someone's room to see if they have, 3 bunk beds set up, but at least we have a sense that there's not going to be 10 people in a 1-bedroom apartment. So I strongly recommend it. And I don't believe it's micromanaging. I think it's keeping to our purpose of an intent of health and safety.
Ed?
Yeah, this isn't a guideline. This is a regulation. And later on in here, we say they have to post the maximum number of people. So if you have, and I stayed in one of these visiting family in Virginia, if you have a 3-bedroom home and one of the bedrooms is large with 4 bunk beds designed for that, you can't put 4 children in there, according to this regulation. It's absolutely
for a maximum of 10.
It's absolutely micromanaging to tell somebody how many people can fit in their house. They're going to get a bad review if it's crammed full of people and not comfortable. This is not a guideline. So other than looking through people's windows, I don't know how we enforce it. But if you're saying that people can just choose to ignore this if they believe that they have more room, which I think is what you mean by a guideline, that's not what we're writing here.
I think the intent, I just want to be clear. I think the intent is not to literally enforce only 2 people per bedroom. It's
correct.
Just the calculation.
Exactly. It's a calculation. It's a guideline. So purpose intent is minimize public safety and health risks. And as I have said, that we're not going to be looking in people's bedrooms to see if there's 3 bunk beds. But what we're trying to do is get a sense, if it's a 2-bedroom apartment, that there's a certain amount of people there, that they're not going to be pushing it up to 10. And I have heard over and over again from realtors that say this is one of the biggest issues with short-term rentals is people, being driven by profit and trying to fit as many people in as they can. So this is a big part of the purpose and intent, and it's providing that. So
I'm confused. If it's a 3-bedroom, can you get 7 people in there then?
no, it's per bedroom, Ed, but it's saying that the maximum is 10. So it's giving us a sense of
the maximum is 6 on a 3-bedroom. It's not a guideline. That's the maximum, right?
okay. Well, not everyone has massive rooms, Ed. So usually we have.
I just want to understand. It sounds like you and Chris just said that 6 is not the limit in a 3-bedroom. It's just a guideline. Unless I misunderstood that.
Okay, Ed, do you? We're trying to minimize public safety and health risks. Okay, I have talked to realtors that say that there are health and safety risks, and there are people pushing the guidelines, and they have asked.
Stop saying guidelines.
Okay, so this is the reason why I'm promoting this, and I'm going to stick to that.
Okay.
Yeah, I have a problem with putting a generic number per bedroom when there's all different sizes. I think there's got to be a better way of doing this. I think it's health and safety I get, and cramming I get, but someone comes up and brings 4 cousins who haven't seen each other for 6 months and they want to put them all in 1 bedroom and there's 2 bunk beds in there. What the heck's wrong with that?
Well, that's fine. So then it'd be like a 2-bedroom house. So then you would get, the 4 people. So it's just to give people, so people don't push the limit. And it's basically saying that there are guidelines and we are thinking of minimizing health, safety and health risks. So I think that providing this will just show people that we are actually really sticking to our purpose and intent. That if you say 10 people, people are gonna push the limit. And I've heard over and over again that this is one of the things that realtors have seen. So. We can rewrite this, but I'm just saying, maybe we can say, I just think that we have to put something that doesn't have someone able to put 10 people in a 1-bedroom apartment. And
I think we all agree with that. I don't think any of us disagree.
Maybe there's a better way of.
I'd like to say something as well.
Sure, go ahead, Garfield.
All right, couple of things. One is, I think we do have to have some guidelines. We can't have 6. I don't care if you have a big bedroom, it's got 4 bunk beds in it. If you want to put 10 people in there, you're going to cause congestion. If there's a problem, there's a fire, there's going to be panic. One of the things I think we should have, and we might have said it, but maybe every one of these places at everybody's home should have a designated floor plan for getting out of the house if something happens. And 10 people in 1 room, that's just begging for a disaster. And it's not a good it's not micromanaging, it's a health and safety parameters of keeping people safe.
No one's disagreeing with, I don't think anybody's disagreeing with that. I think what we're disagreeing with is a number that may work for one house and doesn't work for another house.
I guess
something for all houses. Everything has to have some type of uniformity. You can't have one here, one there, another. Things don't work like that.
So I had a question. Doesn't lodging establishments have to comply with occupancy and, the square footage in rooms? I mean, maybe we can table this and look more closely into this, how that might work.
Yeah, I would be much more comfortable with that. I don't know about you, Ed, but to have the same as a lodging establishment, if you have so many square feet, you can have so many people in the room, that would be fine. I'd have no problem with that at all.
Yeah.
Okay. Could I make a motion to table this and have?
No, I'll just use my limited authority to skip over this.
Can I bring something else up about this?
Yes.
Thank you.
When we had the discussion, and I believe ultimately vote about this being a general bylaw versus a zoning bylaw, you had said we would keep an open mind if things came up where it didn't make sense. This is one of those areas. My neighbor is 15 feet from me, our houses, maybe they're 20 feet. Clearly pre-existing non-conforming. 10 people in this house in the warm weather with the windows open would not be good to my neighbor. There are plenty of areas where there's a lot more space between houses. 10 people could be fine. I don't think 10 people per house, no matter where it is, makes sense unless you're bending over backwards to try not to make this a zoning bylaw. This is one of those places where it does matter and it does make a difference where you put it. We don't have to debate this long because I've lost this vote already. But when you said we'll keep an open mind, this seems to be one of those areas, and there will be others where it does make a difference.
Well,
Let's
to
move
answer
on.
that, okay, I won't.
Yeah, let's
That's
move on
called
to number
spot zoning, Ed.
No, it's not. That's not spot zoning. That's not spot zoning. Spot zoning where you pick one lot and you zone for that one lot. That's spot zoning.
Chris, move on to number 5, please.
Okay, number 5 deals with basically the accessory dwellings or multiple dwellings on one parcel. So if you have a secondary unit, you can rent that as short-term rental, but you can't do both the primary and the secondary unit at one time, unless it's the same party of renters.
I have no problem with that.
Let's see, what number is that again?
5.
Right.
Sorry, let me just, second unit. One second. Okay. That's great, yeah, thank you.
Anyone have any problems with that one? Okay, I'm saying no hands raised, no.
So I just had one question, sorry. Should we be clarifying it under the same contract? I'm just reading this. A secondary unit may be offered under the same party of short-term rentals, same parcel. And oh, we did that. Okay, sorry. That was an old note I had. Thank you.
Yep. Number 6.
6, I think you can probably all be in agreement about not using short-term rentals for commercial events and gatherings.
Yes.
Yeah.
Anyone disagree with that?
7, parking.
Yes, I just wanted to point out, should we add the phrase assigned parking spaces for any units that might be in town? Provide all parking on site or in assigned parking spaces? Just,
Could you explain that a little bit more?
Just, so let's say there's a short-term rental in their main street and they can't have, parking on their premises because it's, it's a apartment, but they would have to have a designated parking space. So, or would they just be parking in the street? I guess that's a question. So I'm just wondering if we should say provide all parking on site or in assigned parking spaces to accommodate people that are in town. If it's a short-term rental that's in town that doesn't have parking on site.
I would ask why we're asking this to begin with, as opposed to just obey all parking regulations, right? If it's in a neighborhood and it's the time of year when parking is allowed on the street, why does it matter whether it's the homeowner parking on the street or a short-term rental guest, or a 30-day guest would be allowed to park on the street, but not a 28-day guest? We don't need to do it. We don't need to complicate it. Just say obey all parking. I guess we'll obey all parking regulations.
Well, I mean, I think that the parking on site is something that is needed. I think that we should keep the current one that says parking shall provide parking on site because.
Yeah, I asked why, not.
Oh, okay. You said why. Well, just from evidence that I've seen, certainly around me, is that short-term rentals, when they have a lot of people there, you'll see 10 cars out on the road. And I've definitely, it was hard for me to pass by because there's so many cars on the road. So I think that, sorry?
They're legally parked.
I know, but I'm just saying that we should say that they should be provided parking on site so that we don't have that.
Why
and
not?
That comes again.
If somebody who's renting for 35 days can park on the street.
Because it's a house, so you would think that they would have a parking space, Ed. So if they had, it's not that big a stretch that, if they're renting a house, that they would be parking on site. So if they start bringing all their friends, which happened in this short-term rental around for me, then 10 of their friends were parking in the street. And I think that is a hazard. So I think short-term operators should be required to offer, to have parking on site.
So my question, Lee, let me interrupt.
Sure.
So my question is, so if on-site parking, let's say there are two people renting an Airbnb. So they have a car and they are provided on-site parking, but if they invite their friends, we're not including that anyways, and they can still park on the road.
And do the police have to go around finding out who owns the car and where they live and how long they're
No,
staying?
no, it's not that. It's just trying to, well, I mean, that's fine. If you guys don't want to, I'll give that up.
Yeah, I think it's too difficult.
Yeah.
And in the wintertime, it doesn't really matter because they can't park on the road.
Yeah,
So
okay, that's fine.
Yeah, so I would just
Yeah,
say,
you can
I would just remove that.
get rid of that.
Yeah. Number 8, Chris?
Yeah, oh, sorry, that just changed all the numbers. Old number 8, signs. Can you all agree on that?
Yeah, yes, absolutely.
Old number 9, trash, recycling, screen from view.
That's another one where I'd ask why we're treating this differently than a place where people stay for 31 days. Or
because I actually think we should do that there too. Because I think be kind to your neighbors.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, the parking, I agreed with you, but this one, I think we should look at doing it anywhere that there's, if there's 4 apartments in a house, that they should be screening their garbage, et cetera, especially if their neighbors, are close by.
Yeah, and also to echo that, the realtors I've talked to, they say trash is a big issue with short-term rentals, that often there's a lot of trash after a renter comes, and often they don't really take care of it as much as a resident might, and they've seen trash, bears come in and do their thing with it. So I absolutely think that trash should be part of this.
Okay, everybody okay? Old number 10, renting for an hourly rate. I think, so the short-term rental, everybody probably okay with that?
Well, no, this is another one where if it's in a business zone, if it's in an industrial zone, where that can go on anyway, it seems like those zones should be treated differently. And I get why you don't want to treat them differently. It'll take a higher vote to pass this, but I think we're passing bad law in order to be expedient. It doesn't make sense to say in a business district, you can't have a business meeting.
I'm not sure how necessary this is. This was from a model bylaw that was proposed previously.
I have no problem with removing this. Do you, Lee, have any problem?
That's fine. That's fine. I'm just curious, Chris, I'm just curious though, if a short-term rental is offered for an hourly rate, or they start, to offer it as for meetings and stuff, how does that kick in if it's in a residential area? Or because I know that I believe that Lennox had this, and I just want to make sure we're not opening up a can of worms that we might not be realizing.
Well, it can't be used for commercial purposes.
Yeah.
Does that get it? Does that? I mean, this is not an instance that I'm aware of that occurs where people say, "Oh, I just I want to book your house just so I can have a meeting." I'm not sure this is a regulation that's needed.
Okay.
I've not heard this. I could be wrong.
Yeah. So I mean, if we say for not for commercial purposes, would that? I think that's what they were probably trying to prevent, but maybe flag this. I could look into it further. But is there anything that anyone knows that why this might be a concern relating to short-term rentals? Or is this being? I mean, I'm fine with letting it go, but I just know that this was.
Yeah, I haven't heard anything.
Okay, all right.
Well, what about, if I may offer since we're talking sometime in extremes and things that might not happen, I don't know if it would happen, but we're talking about an hourly rate at someone's home. What's to say that somebody doesn't want to set up drug deals and do them, rent this place or someone's spot or in this area?
Or maybe it was like prostitution or something. I don't know.
Well,
I feel like that there was
wanted
something.
to say that, but I didn't.
Yeah,
But that
yeah.
would keep those things out of there. We wouldn't have to worry about it. And
Yeah.
I just,
I mean, yeah, I kind of like, I feel like it's probably better to have it in there than not
I think so.
for safety. So can I make a motion that we keep this in?
You may, of course.
I make a motion to keep number 10 in, renting for an hourly rate or rental durations of fewer than 10 consecutive hours shall be prohibited.
I second that.
Any discussion? Roll call vote. Garfield?
Aye.
Ed?
No.
Lee?
Aye.
And no, it fails.
So it stays in?
No, the motion was to put it in, leave it in, and it failed leaving it in. We can do the same thing about taking it out, and that will fail too. So we can come back to this, Chris.
Yeah, I think
we should.
Yeah, I'm not sure anyone's going to say who's doing a drug deal. Their bylaw doesn't say hourly rates. We can't do it at this house. It's just my opinion. I think we got bigger problems than that.
Say that again, Stephen.
I don't think this is going to stop anyone from doing a drug deal because we have in our bylaw that they can't rent for an hourly rate. I think we have much bigger problems than that. So.
Well, we may, but then there's also the chance you can lock your home. If somebody still wants to get in, they're going to get in.
Yep,
So,
that's true.
You know.
Let's go to 11. We'll have to come back to 10. Maybe we can come back with a compromise.
11 seems pretty straightforward to me. Basic life and safety equipment, smoke detectors, CO alarms.
Yeah, I think, Chris, originally, I'm trying to remember, it might have said the owner shall be not notified. And I think it was just for accountability for the owner, but correct me if I'm wrong, that would make more sense. I'm not tied to this, but I think that's what the reasoning was, just so the owner would be notified if there was anything faulty in the property, but.
I guess the intent here is that if the owner's not there and doesn't know that it's not operable, that the occupants need to report it. Is that
okay? Yeah,
makes sense.
Is that the intent here?
That
Okay.
makes sense.
That's how I read it.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
All right. So that all makes sense as written.
You do have a comment down the bottom, Chris? That we
Yeah,
should.
I know. I think we just answered that.
Okay, that's what I thought we did, but I just want to make sure. Number 12.
Building inspector shall be permitted entry. No outstanding violations.
Let's see, standard violations. Yeah, that's fine.
Anyone have any problems with 12 or 13? How about 14?
3 or more violations in a 6-month period.
So if the building inspector comes in and there's a loose step, a shaky banister, and one of the smoke detectors battery is dead, this person gets a 6-month penalty? Or is it 3 consecutive inspections?
I read that as 3 consecutive inspections.
Yeah, okay.
But Chris, what do you think?
I read that it's not necessarily consecutive.
Yeah, I had, for clarity, I'm just looking at a note I had. Residential units that are subject of 3 or more findings of violations of this section within a 1-year period, or 3 or more violations of any ordinance. So it was 3 or more within a 1-year period, but I'm just looking.
I think one of the questions is, just for sake of clarity, so Ed's correct, I won't bore everyone with it again, but if the building inspector goes in and says there are 3 violations and you need to fix those, that it's per visit, I would think. not you've already, struck out, you've had 3 strikes already. I mean,
Well, if the building inspector's been there and issued violations and they're not cured, then they're outstanding.
yes. Okay, I understand.
If it's been cured and then there's another violation, when they go back for another time, that's another violation. And 3 or more is
Should it say 3 or
non-consecutive
more?
violation.
Chris, I always have trouble with zoning. Should it say 3 or more outstanding violations in a 6-month period?
No, I think 3 or more violations.
Yeah.
If all 3 are found on the first visit, is there, if all 3 are found on one visit, is there now a 6-month penalty?
I don't know.
Right. That's what I'm trying to avoid. If a loose step, a loose banister, and a smoke detector.
Well, those can be. So what is your suggestion? I'm just curious because if you don't have a smoke detector, that's pretty serious.
Yeah, no, I agree, Garfield. I think what we're trying to say is you would give someone a chance to cure the violation before you take away 6 months. I think that would be unreasonable. If there were minor violations that they fixed within a week or a couple days, then we wouldn't want to take their source of income away from them. That's all.
I mean, it's practical.
Is that enough information for you to work on that, Chris?
Yeah, I'll go back to the recording on this one. But for practical purposes, I can't see the town, launching inspectional sprees just to catch somebody in 3 violations in a 6-month period.
Yeah.
I'm not sure we have the ability to do that.
Yeah, Chris, should it be extended to 1-year period? Seeing that the registration would be 1 year. Yeah, I mean, I would make a motion to amend this to residential units that are subject of 3 or more findings of violations within a 1-year period. I think that would probably be more manageable and it would align with the annual registration, should we get to that point.
No, and I think the 1 year I agree with. That's
Yeah.
not the problem. I just want a little more clarity under the rest of it. So there's a motion to change it from 6 months to 1 year. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. Any discussion?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah.
You
said you wanted to change it to. Here's the thing, and my caveat with it is, if you've got a year to screw up, then maybe you'll just allow some of these things to go on for longer than they should. So that's my concern. So
yeah,
maybe
I do understand that, but I think the practicality.
Can I finish? Can I finish?
I'm sorry, I thought you were, Garfield.
No, that we should have some, as you said, a week to make the adjustment. If you don't do it in a week, and I don't mind the year, but I think there has to be some checking items to make sure things get done. Just allow it to happen for a whole year with nothing happening. So I think if you get the year, but if you fix your problem within a week, then you're good.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I think right now all we're doing is changing that from 6 months to a year, and then having Chris come back with some rewrite on this for a little more clarity.
Okay.
That's all. We're not voting on the entire thing. I think we're just looking for a little more clarity. So, yeah, so roll call vote on just changing the 6 month to a year. Garfield?
Yes.
Ed?
Yes.
Lee?
Yes.
And yes, so it's unanimous, and we'll come back to this with a little more clarity.
Yes, please.
Okay, next.
Yep, next.
May I say something before I forget?
Of course.
I will. People are people, and they'll do things and they'll take advantage of things. And I think it's good to have that parameter and maybe the year and making sure something does get done within X amount of days, because that's just how we are. If you know you can get away with something for a while, you're going to do it. So I just want to just saying that for my betterment, feeling better about it, and knowing that I think it's important.
No, understood. Okay.
It's compliance and interaction with other laws. For example, I think this is where the housing code would come in and say, you know, you can't overcrowd bedrooms and things like that. All applicable federal, state, local laws and codes.
Seems to make
Housing
perfectly
code.
good sense. Anyone object to 15?
Okay. Records.
I have two questions about this. We no longer need to know the number of months the operator has resided or will reside in the unit, right? It no longer differentiates between a.
True.
So if we agree on that, I'll go to the next one.
Well, did we already go over the definition of operator and owner, or are we going to come back to that? Because some of the stuff coming up with the registration refers to owner and operator. So is that something we want to talk about afterwards, or?
We can talk about, let's get through 16 and then
Okay.
decide. We've probably got another 15 minutes here, so.
Okay.
So Ed, you're right. So I took that out of the records portion
then
there. Can we?
The last sentence about retaining the records forever, that's longer than you have to hold on to your tax records. It just seems kind of onerous. And I can't see any reason we would need them beyond a year, or any reason the town would need it.
Maybe for analytics and for surveys and.
What history on the person that's doing it?
I mean, I don't think it's onerous. I think it's something that could be useful to the town, and it's not really asking someone to do something that they probably wouldn't normally do anyways.
Did the town ask for it every year and the town store it somewhere?
No, it would just have it available.
But we're asking someone to hold on to records longer than they have to hold on to their tax records.
Yeah, even in the medical field, it's like 7 years is the most we have to hold on to something. It does seem like if this passes and 20 years from now, we're still requiring people to hold on to records. It seems a little bit.
I would say 2 or 3 at the most.
Okay, how many years is it on now? I don't see the number of years.
Forever right now.
Oh, forever. Okay. So, I mean, I guess it should be as long as tax. Would it be 5 or?
That seems longer than we're going to need. I would say 2, 3 at the most.
I'm all right with 2 or 3.
Yeah. That's 3. That's fine.
Okay.
You all right with that, Lou?
Yeah.
Notifications. Operator shall post and maintain a sign on the inside of the rental with this information.
We'll go through these one at a time. There's a few that are.
Sure.
An evacuation plan, like a small house with 1 bedroom and a door. You know, it's not like a hotel. They walked in, unless we're going to require lit up floor lights. The evacuation plan is not going to be useful.
Now hold on a minute, please. Hold on a minute, Ed. Now, really, I think you're starting to get.
Are you lecturing me?
I think
let's just one at a time, please.
Starting to get a little nitpicky. Some rules always need to be in place, whether you have a 1-room house or not. Is that really going to be an issue, Ed? Is that really a problem to post that? Is that really going to get in your way because someone has a sign up there that says how to get out of their house, even if it's a 2? What do you care, Ed? What does that matter to you? Is that
that's not the point, though, Garfield?
But I'm saying he's making this an issue that shouldn't be an issue, and it's okay if you have a sign. So what?
It could be. Well, I think one of the questions would be: is it the building code? You know, what's the building code? It may require it anyways.
That's right. That's what I'm saying. There's all kinds of things that are always in place at any time or whatever. I wish I could give you a concrete example right now, but we all know there's parameters for everything. And if you have to have a sign because you have a 2-bedroom house, so be it.
What I'm saying is I'm not even sure this is necessary if it's part of the building code. But
well, building code applicability here is, I'm not going to say a gray area, but a subject of debate. Ideally, there's several ways out, and ideally, every short-term rental knows the several ways out. That's what the plan is for.
let's go on to 3 and 4 and 5 and add other ones.
4. The town's parking regulations. Chapter 204 is 5 pages. Chapter 161 is 3 pages. Chapter 171 is 1 page, and chapter 189.8 is a paragraph. That's a lot of regulations to put on a sign. If what we're saying is during certain times of year, you can't be on the street during these hours, let's say that. Or let's say that the town writes this and gives it to people who have a short-term rental.
Yeah, and I would agree with that. I think that the one parking regulation, obviously people have, if there's a sign in front of someone's house that says no parking from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m., they don't have to draw them a map. It's there. But I do think that the winter parking ban is important to highlight, because there are not signs on every street with that, and visitors would not be familiar with that. So limiting it to that would make sense to me.
Items 4 and 5, if you have to register or receive a license or whatever from the town, registration certificate from the town, it seems like the town can just print the noise ordinance or the applicable parking right on that.
That makes sense.
Can I read the noise ordinance? It's A, not very intelligible, and B, it doesn't do what we want it to do, which is don't be so noisy as to annoy the neighbors. Any noise from any source between the hours of 8 p.m. and 8 a.m. and continues steadily or intermittently for a period of 15 minutes or more at a level in excess of 20 decibels above average background noise for the time and place is hereby prohibited except agricultural activity or by permit as provided in section 115.3a. Said noise shall be measured by a type 2 sound level meter set at fast meter response at a distance of at least 50 feet from the source. Then there's B and C. I just don't think that's useful. What we want to do is tell people to be considerate of their neighbors, limit hours, noise outside of the house at certain hours or something. But the noise ordinance itself is not useful.
So could I suggest that possibly the town staff, we have a template that we issue when a short-term operator comes to register, that they are given that it is a standard that they put up related to noise and so forth. That's easy to read and understand, so that they don't get kind of bogged down in all that.
Yeah, no, I think that makes perfectly good sense, Lee. And Ed, I think you say be considerate of your neighbors. There's a local noise ordinance. Something that's a little more wordsmith than that, but yes.
Okay.
So, Chris, we'll work on that.
Okay. Contact information.
I think that makes sense.
Maximum number of occupants permitted in the unit.
This is where we admit that it's not a guideline, but it's an actual maximum, right?
Well, we haven't set the maximum.
We haven't said it yet, but if they're putting it on, if they're posting it, it's not a guideline, it's a rule.
It's going to be a rule. I mean, that's how I look at it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I think registration's going to take a while, and I think we've all had enough for the evening. I think we made great progress tonight. I think we're starting to flesh this out, but I think registration will take longer than need be. So I think we're getting close now, and I feel better about it. So if no one objects, this will be on the next agenda, and then we're closing in on this.
Could I just make a note for next time, just for us to go over the definition of operator and owner, because that'll work really into the registration, and I do have some notes regarding that. So.
Okay, that's fine.
Thank you.
Okay, moving ahead, and I see there's a couple of hands, and we'll get to that at Citizen Speak.
Steve, I just want to point out, because last time there was a bigger gap, we're very close to Citizen Speak.
Yes, we are.
You have two very short items. Okay.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, you're absolutely right, Ed. I'm not being rude and making people stay up half the night. You're correct. Thank you for pointing that out. The next, is Eric back?
Just trying to find him.
Oh, wait.
There he is.
Oh, good.
He had his hand up, so he was at the top of the list.
Okay, excellent. Welcome back, Eric. So next one is a formality. We have to refer the zoning amendments to the planning board for a public hearing. And if that doesn't make sense to anyone, the planning board's the one who wrote these amendments. But by formality, that is our requirement, is to refer them back to the planning board for a public hearing. Do I have a motion?
I make a motion to refer the proposed zoning amendments back to the planning board for a public hearing.
Second by Ed, motion by Lee. Any discussion? Seeing none, roll call vote. Eric.
Aye.
Garfield.
Aye.
Ed.
Aye.
Lee.
Aye.
And aye, it's unanimous. We have a proclamation. Do I have a motion?
I make a motion celebrating National Black History Month, the town of Great Barrington, Massachusetts. Whereas Black History Month is observed annually across the United States in February to celebrate African American achievements, to recognize the crucial role they have played in U.S. history, and to honor the generations of Black Americans who struggled through adversity to achieve full citizenship in our society. And whereas Black History Month grew out of the establishment in 1926 of Negro History Week by Carter G. Woodson and the Association for the Study of African American Life and History. And whereas the 2022 national theme for the observance is Black Health and Wellness, takes a look at how American healthcare has often underserved the African American community. And whereas the observance of Black History Month calls our attention to the continued need to battle racism and build a society that lives up to its democratic ideals. And whereas the town of Great Barrington continues to work toward becoming an inclusive community in which all citizens, past, present, and future, are respected and recognized for their contributions and potential contributions to our community, the state, the country, and the world. And whereas the town of Great Barrington is proud to honor the history and contributions of African Americans in our community throughout our state and nation. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Select Board of the town of Great Barrington do hereby encourage the citizens of Berkshire County to join us in celebrating National Black History Month. In witness thereof, we have hereunto set on this day of 14th day of February 2022.
Second.
A motion and a second. Roll call. Eric.
Aye.
Garfield.
Aye.
Ed.
Aye.
Lee.
Aye.
And aye. Unanimous. Thank you. And last on the agenda is our select board's regular meeting schedule, and we've approved the schedule. But what happened is we've reserved the 28th of March for a training for the select board for climate change, for a climate change grant. And therefore we need to set another date sometime in March for a meeting, because one meeting in the month is not going to do it. So I'll throw out a few dates. March is rather booked for all of us. So we could do, I'll throw out March 8th, which would make it back-to-back nights for us. So that may not be so good. So March 23rd or 24th, that's a Wednesday or a Thursday.
Thursdays are better for myself.
Whichever pleases the board. I'm okay.
The only issue with Thursday is a lot of other boards often meet that night.
That's true.
If Garfield can't make Wednesday, I can make Thursday.
Okay, because the other one would have been the 30th. Literally, that's my 5 free days that month, and 30th is a Wednesday, so that doesn't work. So I don't know if the 24th, I know it's not a school committee night. I don't know if it's a planning board night or There's a Tonic Improvement Committee night or a Board of Health night.
Yes, it's a planning board night.
We haven't scheduled, we have a meeting, the HAC has a meeting on the 10th. So the 24th would usually be our next one, but it's not set in stone, so I can probably move that to the 31st. If we're sticking with Thursdays, I can do that, no problem.
Everyone okay?
Is Wednesday not possible? I just usually go to the planning board meetings, but.
Well, I have meetings on Wednesday, or will have coming up soon, I do believe. I should probably check with Mark.
Mark, do you have Wednesday schedule for March? Do you have the calendar there? I assume you're looking for the Affordable Housing Trust, Garfield?
No, the Community Impact Fund usually meets on Wednesday.
Okay, Chris may have that.
I'm checking the calendar now.
Oh, no, Community Impact, that would be Mark, yes.
No, that's one that I don't do.
Yes, I'm sorry, I got confused. It's a late hour for me.
This is March? Are we in
Mark's
March?
looking,
This is March, right?
yes,
Okay.
this is March.
Well, we won't start in March, I don't believe, right, Mark?
I'm sorry?
We won't start in March, right?
No, you shouldn't be meeting in March, and I'm just looking at the calendar now, and I do not see a community impact funding placeholder, so I think you're good.
So how about March 23rd? Does that work for everyone?
Oh, I'm not going to be here.
Okay, so how about March 30th?
Is that also a Wednesday, please?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, I'm all right.
Yeah, the 30th is better for me.
Is that okay with everyone else?
March 30th works for me.
Yes.
Okay, so we will be meeting Monday and Thursday, but we like each other, so that's fine.
So wait, what was the first date again? Sorry,
No, the only date that we scheduled is the extra days of 30th. So
Okay.
our other dates will be the 7th and 28th.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, now.
So March 7th and the 28th and the 30th, correct?
Correct. Okay, citizen speak time. James Manning, go right ahead.
Hi, am I just on voice? Is that correct? Or is my face on?
Your face is not on.
Oh, okay, great. Anyway, I'd just like to thank the board.
Just once again, name and address, please.
Oh, James Manning, 304 Main Street.
Thank you.
Sure. I just want to say how much I appreciate the board discussing this matter. I find it extremely important because of what I perceive to see in the tech business and how people operate. The aggregation of homes will occur if rules are not really well written and really consider the community over any individual. The model for this could be, and I've stated this in an op-ed in Berkshire Edge, is that you could soon have aggregators in Berkshire County just gobbling up other aggregators and then forming one big aggregate, lodging organization that rents out rooms and homes. And I think that when you discuss safety and issues like that, I see no reason why they shouldn't comply with lodging regulations as well. Geez, of course, I usually have a lot to say, but I'm sort of forgetting it now. But again, I think, if houses are in violation, I think, you get a cure period, and then to avoid. And then, but I think if people don't cure, I don't think they should be allowed to short-term rent it until the violations cleared. I've spoken a lot to Lee about this. I'm really, I don't live on the hill, but if I lived on the hill and I had 30 neighbors in those few streets renting out, I don't see the difference between that and a vertical hotel room setup. I view that as a lodging organization. And again, that could go on for until, as I like to say, there could be the Marriott homes, come up here and rent a hotel room or a whole home. We got it for you. And I just think that plus it won't create affordable housing, but that's a separate problem. The fact is our town is shut down half the week right now. So we're seeing exactly what will happen if there's no staff. So,
thank you. Your 3 minutes is up. Please wrap up.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. Good work.
Thank you. James, full name and address, please.
Good evening, board. My name is James at 84 North Plain Road. I'm a different James, not Mr. Manning.
Yeah, what's your last name? I'm sorry.
Garzone, James Garzone.
Thank you.
I just want to say thank you again to the board for doing this difficult task, but I just want to put out some numbers. I went to the 2021 Town of Great Barrington property list, and it seems that there's 362 LLCs from a total of 4,250 properties. That means 8.5% are LLCs. So we're talking about creating a general bylaw that is impacting over 90% of property owners for just 8%, which I feel is a little draconian. I also feel that some of the things that are said are too general that are impacting our homeowners. And I'll give you an example. Does it mean that everyone in the community is going to have to screen in their garbage because of the 8.5%? I don't feel that the general bylaw, is really targeting what we want to target is the LLCs and the corporations. So I thought Mr. Abrams' suggestion of creating a bylaw for the LLCs or people with 3 or 4 homes would achieve what the board is trying to do instead of impacting the 90% of the community. I also joined the finance committee meetings, and it seems like they're trying to do an assessment, and rightfully so, for the committee to make changes in the tax laws. One of the unintended consequences, if they approve this, is that multi-unit housing is going to have a higher tax rate, which then means the rent is going to be higher for the affordable housing. So I think that's problematic. I also read that the 6% occupancy tax on short-term rentals contributed over $250,000 fiscal year 2021, and so far $153,000 for the half fiscal year 2022. If the short-term rentals are no longer allowed or restricted to 90 days, what happens to that income? Where does that tax-generated revenue come from? Also, the planning board, they have approved already over 100 affordable housing units that have been occupied are occupied or will be by March 2023. And they're also looking into another 40 or 50 housing units that could be put in place in the next 2 years by Windrush, the developer. So the planning board is doing a fantastic job with trying to create affordable housing for the community, to get staff for the restaurants and the businesses that truly need it. And they're coming up with innovative ideas that could be put in place in the next 2 to 5 years. So what my point is that I feel that the planning boards aren't being consistent. I feel that this general bylaw is hurting 90% of the community, that we're trying to only impact 8.5%. So if I'm incorrect with my numbers, I please ask the board to look into it. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. And thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. Next is Frederica Siegel.
Yes, thank you very much. Frederica Siegel from 27 Round Hill Road. I have a few things to cover. I'm happy to hear that you'll be revisiting the use of the word operator. I feel that that's a word that's too commercial a term for most of the short-term rentals. Under the secondary unit definition, I wonder if there would be an advantage to describing in more detail what qualifies as a secondary unit. For example, perhaps a lack of a stove in a unit would make it inappropriate for a long-term rental, and so the only use of it would be as a short-term rental. So perhaps consider a further definition of secondary unit. Under rules and regulations, there are a lot of them, and I wonder how many of these are enforceable at the current staffing levels. And is there a budget to increase enforcement? Because there's nothing more ineffective than having a list of rules that are not enforced or are ignored. You referred to 90 consecutive and non-consecutive days. I didn't know what that meant. I saw that Chris only added 90, and I hope that you will not get into the consecutive and non-consecutive. But this actually passed, after this vote passed to limit it to 90 days, somebody said, well, we'll let the town meeting work it out. And I really think that this is too important an aspect of this bylaw to punt it over to the public in June. So I would ask that you go back and look at that. Under number 13, no outstanding violations, it says that once there's a violation issued, the short-term rental use shall be terminated until the violation has been cured or otherwise resolved. And it seems to me there should be a grace period in there that as Mr. Abraham said, if there's no smoke detector or a loose banister, you can't halt the rental and not permit somebody to, you need a grace period. Lastly, when this is all undone, I really urge you to go back and look at the premise of the whole bylaw, the purpose and intent. You're limiting the time which does not enable property owners to earn extra money from their property to better afford to live in Great Barrington. It makes it harder to maintain the properties. And even without the 90-day limit, it's very unclear to me what the meaning of contribute to community means. That's just a little bit too vague. I believe that you could strengthen the bylaw by eliminating that first bullet. So I would ask that you take a look at that. So thanks for all the time you're putting into this, and I hope you keep working on it.
Thank you for your comments. Sharon Gregory. Just unmute yourself, Sharon, and you're ready to go.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Oh, thank you. Sharon Gregory, 32 Holland, Beck Avenue. I understand the difficulty in developing this bylaw. It has to be very, very much nuanced because we have to balance the interests of the residents and their need for finances, and not just LLCs, but I have not seen so many purchases of properties by just even individuals or couples, whoever, and whoever else, as investments to make money. It's happening a lot on the Hill, and I'm sorry, just saying, these are just LLCs, and we should just copy Lennox. We are in a really different time. In terms of things like limiting the number of days, let me just give you an example. I know lots of people who do short-term rentals. 90 days or 3 months at $100 a night, which is a very average low rate, yields $90,000 of revenues. That should help a lot of people with their finances that are residents. $300 a night for a house is very average. That yields $270,000 annually. What we're trying to do is not having people turn over so they're making $1 million because they want to invest and make more money, which is such a big value that's displaced so many other values. I wouldn't want to do that to my neighbors. I spent a lot of time building community, and I think that's one of the best assets of Great Barrington. So I don't buy this, we're abrogating the rights of residents and what you could do with the house. We have that already in zoning and a lot of other places. This is just to help develop our town the way we want to. And for me, I don't want it to be controlled. It's not by 8%. It's a lot more than that. And I have more than probably anybody else who's gone through the entire assessor's file of about 3,700 homes. It's a lot more than that are renting short-term or otherwise. So, this is not limiting regular rentals. It's just short-term rentals who have high turnarounds. As far as rules are concerned, going through the exaggeration, who's going to monitor this? You know what the rules are for? Do you remember the Long Pond Road renters? They were violating everything. And if you don't have any rules, you can't do anything about it. So it's not about, jumping over and saying, oh, you left the garbage out here, we're going to get you. It's about people who are egregiously violating our town bylaws and respect for the neighbors. And that enables. Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.
That just helps to enforce the rules if they're violated. Thank you.
Thank you, Sharon. Just a point. If it's $100 a night for 90 days, it's $9,000, and if it's $300 a night for 90 days, it's $27,000.
Sorry, I just missed a decimal.
You did miss a decimal there, which is unlike you, Sharon, because I know how meticulous you are. I just wanted to point that out. I didn't want everyone else who didn't do the math to sit there and hear that.
The back of the envelope stuff.
I get it. Let's see. Next is Dan Ruderman. Did I lose him? Go ahead.
There we go. Hi, it's Dan Ruderman. I'm up on 4 Nob Hill Road in Great Barrington, where I was thinking about maybe moving out and just renting my house all the time and making a fortune. But instead, I want to thank the board for all the work on this. And I've been on some of the community boards trying to get a good community-based conversation about what a reasonable limit should be for the number of nights that a non-resident gets to rent out their house. I think I've said some of this stuff before, you guys, and so apologies for redundancy, but I think the issue is I'd like to think about houses in neighborhoods as being homes and not businesses. And I think it's reasonable for the community to come together and say that, hey, this is why we have zoning. Like, I really can't open up a machine shop in my house, right? I can't open up a deli here in the house. Just because Airbnb makes it easy for me to rent my house out doesn't mean that we all want businesses as our next door neighbors. And I think putting a cap on the number of nights that somebody who's not in the house can rent it out means that you're saying, I want it to be a home next to me. I don't want it to be a hotel. And it's funny to listen to the conversation because we're such good people and we all care so much about the community that when we review some of the points on the list, and I don't have it in front of me right now, but I think about trash and noise, the comments were, well, we just want people to be good neighbors. And the point is if you don't live in the house and you're renting it out 300 nights a year, there's nobody living in the house that's a good neighbor. They're just transients. And I don't know about you guys, but I will confess that I may have trashed a hotel room or two in my youth. So it's a thing that happens. People don't, respect short-term places the same, irrespective of whether they'd get a bad review or not. So I think my caution is just let's all think about it as what we're trying to do is keep the neighborhoods, keep the community feeling, and think about houses as homes, not as hotels, not as places that we can rent out as much. It does get worse, as somebody else said. Marriott homes is a real thing. In case people don't know about that, you can go to Marriott online and rent a home. They could come in and buy these places up. So putting a limit on what somebody that's not here, living here, does makes sense. And the last comment I'll make is that we're not stopping anything from happening. We're admitting that something is happening that isn't permitted currently. And we're trying to say what's reasonable ways to regulate this thing and stop people from coming in and being able to make too much money and drive up the home prices. And I'll stop there. Thank you again.
Thank you very much. Mark Hockler.
Hi, this is actually Amanda Hanlon-Hockler, 193 Maple Avenue. I just wanted to say that I have grave concerns about the board and completely agree with Ed that I think that this is overstepping. I think that this has been touted as an effort to open up affordable housing. And I think that Lee's heart is in the right place, but I think that this isn't the way to go about it. I am completely in favor of the 3% tax on short-term rentals. And I think that that should be used to consider buying deed restrictions like they've done in Colorado, which has actually helped the local community and working force community to find homes. We have 6 children in our family. If we ever, when our kids grow up and get spouses and have children of their own, if we decided to move away and sell our house with a 10-person restriction, we would never be able to come back to our hometown and get an Airbnb and visit all together. So I think 10 people is probably not a good number. There's a lot of diversity in Great Barrington in terms of homes. Some of them are modest, some of them are grand. If you have a 17-bedroom, multi-million-dollar house, I think that you should be able to rent it out for the number of people that it could accommodate. I think that all of the regulations that you just talked about are completely unnecessary, and I think that there are big implications. I have an in-law apartment that I rent occasionally. I would never consider renting it long-term. It's primarily for family and friends. When I do rent it, and I haven't in the last couple of years, it's because our house is 101 years old. The repairs on it are tremendous. It costs so much money to do work to our house. And so I use the money from Airbnb occasionally to supplement the cost of those repairs. But someday, I think that if an investor wanted to buy my house, I'd like to have that option, because not all houses are going to be sold to people who are looking for affordable housing. Our house in particular sat on the market for 3 years before we bought it. And I think that you have these bigger, grander homes that people will, that they're just going to sit and rot if you limit access to selling them. And that's really what I have to say is I plan to vote a hard no on this, but I really think that you should consider putting a tax on this and looking at other ways, because I do want there to be affordable housing. I'm a teacher. I see the impact on kids, and we need this, but limiting property rights isn't the way to do it. This isn't going to achieve what you want it to. It's just putting restrictions on property owners and what they can do with their homes. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Michelle LeBaire.
Hi, Michelle LeBaire, 70 Division Street. I submitted a letter to the Select Board on February 9th regarding this topic. And at this time, I would like to, after hearing tonight's conversation, I would like to read it into the public record, if I may.
You may. You have your 3 minutes. You may, Michelle.
Thank you, Steve. My husband and I own property at 70 Division Street, my family's homestead. My father built the house in 1958, and here, my father and mother raised 8 children, all of whom attended Great Barrington's public schools. My father died in 2013. Upon my mother's death in 2017, she left the house to me. It was her desire and that of my late father that the house remain in the family, and when the time comes, be left to my daughter. We are not a money-hungry corporation, nor are we wealthy investors or developers. The people Mrs. Davis has referred to when speaking about this proposal. She has stated that this proposed bylaw will deter such people from buying up properties in Great Barrington and turning them into short-term rentals. However, not all property owners fall into this category, certainly not us. Because I've had little opportunity to travel, I would like to do so when I retire. My husband is from Michigan and often expresses a desire to retire to that state. My husband and I do not have large retirement accounts. In order to pursue our retirement dreams, we will need to supplement our retirement income. To do so, we thought we could rent our house as a short-term rental. This would not only provide income, but also provide us the freedom to visit the Berkshires when we want to, without the necessity of working around a year-round tenant in the house. Best of all, we would not be forced to sell our home in order to retire comfortably and pursue our retirement plan. Unfortunately, the short-term rental bylaw, as currently proposed, will negatively affect our retirement plans. The days we could rent, since we would not be living full-time on Division Street, would be limited. Therefore, the income generated from the rentals would also be limited. As stated above, renting to a year-round tenant would impede our ability to visit the area when we, the homeowner, choose to or allow family members to stay at the house. It seems to us that in a way, this proposal will force some people to rent to a year-round tenant, since the only other options would be to leave the house empty or sell, neither of which are attractive options for us. Ms. Davis stated several times that this is about the greater good, an argument I have found often used when presenting a controversial proposal. However, I ask that Ms. Davis consider all of her constituents when advocating for this proposal, because sometimes when promoting the greater good, people in the minority are harmed. Thank you.
Thank you, Michelle. Select board time. Eric.
I have nothing at this time. Thanks, Steve.
Thank you. Garfield.
No.
Ed. Lee. And nothing. Media time. By unanimous consent, we are adjourned. Thank you, everyone.